Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. I said, in this parade, please wave your grades as brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. You make this parade a mere charade if you're marching just for fun. Our troops must feel your thanks for real before the marching is done. They know side by side you can match their stride to the drum beat and the brass, but they're not impressed with you unless you can match their stride in class. This may not sound too diplomatic, but I cannot be more emphatic. I'll tell you, it's problematic when you do less than your best. Especially when it's because you put your brilliance on pause for the mere peer applause that draws from a so-called friend doing less. Quit playing. I'm saying, you know that you are great, and we know it. So show it. Don't make our heroes wait. In this parade, please wave your grades at brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make.
Good afternoon and welcome to Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, the academic patriotism program that is dedicated to veterans and serious secondary scholars. I am your announcer, KUAW Wilson. Now here is our host, civilian urban educator, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much, KUAW Wilson. This is a particular program today that's going to be extremely special. So let me find out before introducing the program in a more formal way, if our guest is not on yet. One of the things that we'll do while we're waiting for today's guest is talk about last week's guest, when Diane Charity was introducing us to a concept that is being promoted and projected in the greater Kansas City community. And it has to do with young people gathering to do a motivational musical. And it was so interesting in the way that Diane Charity introduced it to us, because this morning, the group who are in the production of a motivational tune were introduced to it, and they are going to sing the background to the music and videotape it all in the same day. So we heard about it. We know it's motivational in nature. We know that young people are involved. And from her description, we know that it is a dynamic piece of music. So I am looking forward to a follow-up on last week's show when we get the opportunity to hear and, as a matter of fact, to show that videotape. And the good thing about today's program, I don't know if we need to call our special guest, which we could do if we need to do that. It's a follow-up to not just one, but more than one previous program. So we want to make sure that our guest is indeed with us, and I won't do the spoilers, so there's no need for a spoiler alert as it relates to what else is special about today's program, and in as much as we are approaching the Thanksgiving holiday, we will look forward to having someone who can lead us in the direction, even for those who are going through towards Thanksgiving. And so it is that it greets me with a great deal of pride and anticipation as we look forward to our very special guest on this program today. Wave Your Grades. And by the way, every once in a while I would suspect, and as a matter of fact I would hope, we get new viewer listeners. And when you turn us on, you will hear the theme song titled Wave Your Grades. Last week, as we were delayed, I had the occasion to explain, and it turned out that that's not a bad idea because every once in a while we will have new listeners and new watchers and new participants where we talk about the title of the song of the program, Wave Your Grades, and the theme song contents of Wave Your Grades. I cannot remember the oh, yes, I do. Wow. DeQuay Wilson, it was 2007. I was in Waco, Texas, when they observed a program that we were doing in honor of veterans. And October 4th, 2007, Waco, Texas, did indeed do an observance for that particular educational tribute to veterans program. So that was 2007. When we came over to KUAW.org, Louis George Walker, founder of this, you know what, as a matter of fact, DeQuay, I don't know if he was also the founder of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. I know that he is indeed the president, and I would not be surprised if he is not president and founder, but they established KUAW.org, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, and allowed our organization, and that is Stoots for Boots. Our producer, engineer, announcer, and co-host, DeQuay Wilson, would have you to know and to understand that we use organization advisedly because we are in the action of motivating American students through honoring those who have served in the military, and that would be those who are veterans. So we ask that young people, as a matter of fact, we ask that all people in the United States of America who claim that they do indeed appreciate the service of our military veterans don't just wave the flag. So we say, wave your grades. We say, wave your community service. We say, wave your leadership. We say, wave your motivating your peers to do their best so that when American students use your brains, our military does not serve in vain. So all of those kinds of things that we talk about in terms of the introduction to the program, when we get those few extra minutes, extra opportunity to emphasize what it is that we are about, it did not occur to me until this moment. My goodness, it was 2007, starting at Fort Hood in Texas, and that would be Killeen, Texas, and the observation in Waco, Texas because of that. And we have been blessed to have very special people on the program who are indeed veterans. We have had fields of honor observation. We were blessed to interview an actual member of the 6888 male squadron of females who served in World War II. We have been blessed to talk to and about Buffalo Soldiers, the Tuskegee Airmen, Wayne Minor. We have been blessed and had the opportunity to talk to various members who indeed did not stop after they got their discharge. And they are doing some great things. And by the way, in as much as it is a motivational program, a warning and continuing to keep it positive, let us also be honest. There have been some who have served who have not received the respect and, along with respect, resources that they should be uh, given. And some of our programs have to focus on attempting to correct some wrongs to make them right. But all of that, saying waive your grades, American students striving for excellence in honor of our troops, in honor of our veterans. And so it is, our organization. It appears to me that someone we know is with us this afternoon, and her name is our dear
You want me
sister.
to say my name? I am Khadija.
Khadijah Hardaway. And,
Yes. How are you doing today, Carl?
well, let me say this to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy.
Oh my God.
I
Oh
can.
my God. Is this show being recorded? I would love to have that in my archives.
DeQuay Wilson nodded and said that the program is indeed being recorded, and it is our
Well, thank you for
honor.
that.
Well, just thank you. Can you imagine 25 years old already, and that time just keeps passing on? Thank
Well, I
you.
appreciate you. I
Well,
appreciate you. I'm
I,
I'm that times a half.
let me tell you, this is an honor in a real sense because it is a follow up. Um,
It is.
and please go ahead if you want to introduce how.
Well, I think the last time we were talking about sexual assault in some ways, and me being an advocate for women in Wyandotte County in particular, and how that related to young men and violence in Kansas City, Missouri. But I do work in Wyandotte County, so that's where most of my research stems from as far as advocating for women who have been sexually assaulted and or murdered by police departments, allegedly.
Yes.
Allegedly. And so since I have last talking to you, the case we were working on with Roger Galutsky kind of came to an end as far as the sexual assault against the women. He killed himself the day of his
Ooh.
trial, December the 2nd of this year.
Okay. Did not
Um,
realize.
yeah, and we were sitting outside of the courtroom actually waiting for that hearing to start when we learned that he had taken his own life. So, which is unfortunate for a lot of the people seeking justice. But since then, we have been recording my team Nico Quinn, which is a survivor, and then the co-founder of Justice for Wyandotte, Nikki Richardson. We've been recording with a podcast called Novel, and it's been sponsored by iHeart. It was released last Monday, and it
Oh,
is an
that
eight-part
recent.
series. It's an eight-part series with 5 bonus episodes. One of the things that we asked for is that we be included as far as like how the show transpired. And so Nikki is the host of the first 8 episodes.
Wow.
I'm I'm the host of 3 of the bonus episodes, and then Nikki, I think, is also the host of one of those bonus episodes. And so it goes into great depth about the work we did in Wyandotte County and how we came to uncover all of the corruption within Wyandotte County Police
My
Department.
God. Yes. And I want to emphasize why this is such an important program today and why you are so important. Before I do that, please give contact information because there are certain to be people who will want to talk to you after this program.
Well, you can reach me at justiceforwyandotte.org. I am visible on Facebook, Instagram. You can email me at khadijah31 at gmail.com. If you want me to come out and speak about the injustice that's going on, not just in Wyandotte County, but across the country,
Yes.
um, and what reform looks like without using the word reform, um, yeah, call me, or write us in a little note or message us on one of those social media handles. Justice for Wyandotte also has an Instagram page and a Facebook page, as well as the website. Like I said, you can go there and you can learn more about what we are actively doing right now.
Let me say to you that one of the reasons this program is so important is because we are broaching Thanksgiving. And the
Mhm.
reason you are important in this season is because there are those who want to suggest that in as much as Thanksgiving is a family holiday, we talk about the food and the camaraderie and all of that, you might not want to broach anything that might even portend to be negative. Let me tell you why you represent Thanksgiving to me. It is precisely because there are those who are reluctant to face some very violent truths and some subjects that many people do not have the courage to discuss. It is a thanksgiving for those who are not represented at a time like this because there are those afraid that it might cause some sensitivities. How do you find the courage and the consistency to help those in such trying times?
Well, I'm grateful for your words, first of all, because I am grateful and I am thankful, and I do feel like Thanksgiving. I do feel like there is something inside of me that people need to be aware of, as far as what God thinks people to know need to know
Mm.
in this time. And so I just give it up to God. God drives me to be the person I am and to speak out. I will say right now. And in the past few years that have passed in my work, I have gone silent, just to have conversations with God, because I knew what this day would look like for our country. And I have been warned by a person who studied white nationalism and wanted to help kind of safeguard from what we are experiencing right now. And unfortunately, people just didn't know how to respond, listen, or didn't want to partake in what this Constitution is all about in this country, and how it's being torn apart as we speak.
It is interesting to me, your orientation, because you have introduced me to a topic that I could almost have been a part of because I was 13 years old in 1955. And it
Yeah.
is almost hard to imagine, particularly with the things that you have gone through, that you would find interest in to the point of a passion. Emmett Till, killed in Mississippi in 1955, all the way up to the passing of the Till Bill in what year?
The tail bill was 2007.
And
Yeah. It
let
has since been reauthorized, funded, and has solved many cases. As a matter of fact, I have someone who I spoke to at a prosecutor's event that told me they were going to send me a list of the now solved cases under the Teal bill, and I'm grateful for that too. So yeah.
for those who might be being introduced to it now, will you do a little Emmett Till, Alvin Sykes history for us?
So I met Alvin Sykes in 2004, and I met him, and he told me the story of Emmett Till. and he told me that he was creating legislation for Emmett Till. He told me the story that he had with Keith Beauchamp and Mamie Till. They were in her home and they were talking about the things that she wanted to see happen. By the way, Mamie Till gave many people charges about what should happen with her son and the legacy of her son,
Yes, yes, yes.
whether it be solve the murder, education, institutes that build on civil rights and human rights, and then the legacy markers that the Parkers are putting in place right now. So she really made sure that his name and his legacy would stay alive and he just wouldn't be a martyr. He would be someone that I would like to call a conductor of human and civil rights for African Americans.
Absolutely. And by the way, will you please inform us as to how many law degrees Alvin Sykes had?
Alvin Sykes had zero law degrees. And so I
My
wanted to get back
God.
a little bit back to how I started working
Yes.
with Alvin. Alvin, if you know Alvin, you know him to be a person that was half homeless, half not sometimes. And then he suffered from just cognitive disabilities. And so he needed the assistance in order to push things through. And part of that came from also that Alvin was a survivor of sexual assault. And so his coping mechanisms were not like what normal people would experience. And so he dealt with a lot of trauma, I would say. And
Yes.
so I think God placed me with him just to make sure that one, he could walk through it without all the anxiety of what he had to deal with in his normal life. And two, just I just have a natural knack to be an activist. I have a
Yes.
natural knack for research. And
Yes.
the other part is that Alvin could not see. So people didn't know that about Alvin either.
Right.
And so a lot of times in the research, I would be the person that would read some of the laws to Alvin. And so it was very educational for me to be sitting next to Alvin and learning and approaching different ways to bring legislation about through Congress. And so that's how I met him, and that's how I started the journey. And I tell anybody that if you heard the story of Emmett Till, not just Emmett Till, there's a lot of stories like Emmett Till, but in particularly Emmett Till, you can't help but be bit by what I call the spirit of human rights.
My God.
There's a charge up underneath all of that that a lot of people feel, and that's what connects them to the story and to the fight that is connected to his name.
And so you see, when I talk about celebrating something called Thanksgiving, we have to give thanks for those like Alvin Sykes and, for that matter, Khadija Hardaway, after looking at that side of life that many of us refuse to face, and
Mhm.
being able yet to continue as an activist. Have there been particular cases, have there been particular times where you have found it a real challenge to continue in your positive way?
I think each case brings about that. Each case
Okay.
that I deal with there are injustices, and there is a lack of response or lack of response to what
Ooh,
is happening within our
yes,
community.
yes.
I think I think I think Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas, they suffer from apathy,
Okay.
not empathy, apathy. And I don't know if that's just the idea that you're desensitized from what is going on in the community, but that's bothering some with what is happening now, especially with what you initially called me about, which is education, right? and what centers around education and what is happening with education within the United States Department of Education, and how it's being ripped apart and people not really understanding where we are. It's happening so fast. And unfortunately, people didn't take the time to educate themselves about what these laws really stand for, what they really say, how you manipulate them, and how they're being manipulated right now. I have talking to people until I was blue in the face about the Supreme Court and how it rules over the things that we need to legitimize in our communities and in our states, in our, counties. And it just doesn't seem that like it fell on the right kind of ears. And it doesn't seem like it's hitting right now because it's just like a snowball effect. But I do believe in education. I do believe in the intellect power of Black people uniting. I think that is the most powerful weapon that we have. And I believe in it more so now than I have believed in the past of like marching and rallying. I just really believe that it is a time for the brilliant minds like that of the Marcus Garveys, the George Washington Carvers,
Yes.
Mamie Till, Harriet
Yes.
Tubman, who's on my wall right now. I just think it's time for that kind of ancestry knowledge to kind of come awake and not be afraid to use it, not see it as a mark of you're too proper type of situation, you know what I mean? Or maybe you're too militant. I think all of that needs to happen at this moment, is that there needs to be the militant mind of intellect that comes along. There needs to be the mind of the church, which is spiritual, which lies underneath what Black ancestry really is all about, not really this Christian indoctrination. I have talked to many people. I've talked to billionaires, and they are Republicans, and they did want to change things around, and they wanted, and where they're getting it, they want education to go through white nationalist Christianity. And they have been speaking about it. When they first started talking about ripping away charter schools and a regular educational system, that was their solution. And it still is their solution. And the propaganda of that is popping up everywhere. And it just, I can't even say, I used to have this thing where I was like, is slavery 2.0? Or Jim Crow 2.0. I think we're even beyond any point oh or anything. This is a whole new beast.
Yes,
But it
ma'am.
is the trajectory of all oligarch, I guess.
Let me say that we will be going to our break, and before we do that, I will be asking you to repeat your contact information. But as we are getting ready to, I have to suggest to you that in our conversations so often, I feel like you're reading my mind. It is absolutely remarkable because I've had the occasion to talk about the difference between schooling and education. And you are admonishing us to be educated. The way that schooling is being distorted and challenged, and having the need for advocates like yourself, all of us need to be educated so that we can find out what needs to be done for our schools. I'd like to broach that. We will be right back with Khadija Hardaway. DeQuay Wilson, please.
Reminding our 7th through 12th grade students that you can win a monetary award from our sponsoring organization. Yes, we do say organization, on purpose, with purpose. Stoots for Boots. Your essay title will be Heroes You Know You Didn't Know Were Heroes. Your content will identify a veteran at your school, who can be absolutely anyone. Teacher, custodian, coach, absolutely anyone. If your essay is chosen and submitted by an adult who gives you permission to read it on this Waive Your Grades program, you will be awarded a monetary prize. Please send inquiry or entry to academicpatriotism@gmail.com. That is academicpatriotism@gmail.com. Now back to our host, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much. And back to contact information from our very special guest, Khadija Hardaway.
So you can reach me at justiceforwyandotte.org. You can reach me at Facebook, Instagram. I am on Twitter or X. I'm on LinkedIn. And my email is khadijah31@gmail.com. I will come and speak about the various states that we're in, what can be done solution wise. I don't have all the answers, but I do believe that strong conversation around what is going on can make a difference. So, again, reach out to me on any one of those social media handles. And like I said, Justice for Wyandotte also has Facebook and Instagram.
You cannot know how much I appreciate your being with us and informing us, and by the way, motivating us in the way that you do. I suggested that you were reading my mind, but let me put it in context. I am 83 years old, and I think that even though this is your birthday, that probably makes me older than you. And for you to give the old man the opportunity that you do to me, I thank you for that. And I want to mention something from 1978. Brown versus the Topeka Board of Education, the desegregation of schools was 1954. 24 years later, 1978, we still had not done that. And I had the opportunity to direct the education program for Operation Push. And for Reverend Jackson, and he is in our prayers today, by the way. He is
Yes.
really going through with his Parkinson's disease and some others. But Khadijah Hardaway, the title of my paper for the Education Division was In Search of Quality Education at Home, a Black Position in Favor of Neighborhood Schools. Now, what I was suggesting was, inasmuch as Operation Push was very much in headlines back in the 1970s, let us not be so anxious to chase others and their definition of excellence, but in our own neighborhoods, with our own instructors, with our own motivation of parents and schools and churches working together, we need to pursue now here in 2025 what Khadijah Hardaway would have us to know is education, understanding our history, understanding what we have overcome, and knowing that we have been able to defeat slavery, Jim Crow, Reconstruction, desegregation, housing, all of those things. And here I am gratified at my elderly age to have someone who is as young as you with a greater appreciation and direction, for that matter, than those of my octogenarian age. So I have to thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much. Looking at the evolution of what's going on in education, how far have we come? How far do we need to go?
Wade, you've heard of the phoenix rising out of the ashes, right?
Watch out. Come on.
So
Come on.
I'm not afraid of where we are. I
Praise
honestly
God.
think it is a time to rebuild something that is for us, by us, and that we can educate ourselves best. Knowledge is free. It's not something that you really necessarily are supposed to be paying
Thank
for.
you.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
it is absolutely at everybody's hands. And I think those of us who understand that, those of us who possess knowledge in different areas that can make a difference, where we can, a lot of people like to use the word programming. Well, that is what this universe is about. Why not reprogram ourselves so that we can become more successful about the things we desire as community? Why does it have to look like a capitalist society for us? I mean, economics is knowledge, don't get me wrong, but does it have to look like people are being sold for economics and for the
Ooh,
value of goods and products and services? You know,
thank
everything
you.
about the way we look at the way, even the inception of the way we're born says that we're born into the ideal of slavery and not freedom, not the ideal of not being able to think. You're already stamped with numbers and codes that already put you into a system of matrix. And now that this matrix is breaking down, what a better opportunity than now to get out and do something and make a difference. What a
Yes,
better way for a church to become more active in its community, a synagogue or, you know, a mosque or what have you.
yes.
What a way to come out of the cultist mind of religion in the United States into a spiritual way of living that is full of knowledge that you can just really literally pick off the tree. We talk about the apple and what it represents. You literally can pick that off the tree. Why
Come
not get
on.
back to those simple things? And I think it's really simple. I think the world has gone mad because technologies and numbers are computed, and that's what we're seeing. People don't understand that because
Thank
they're
you.
coded not to understand that. And so why not
Ooh,
get to the basics, and even coding and all of these different things that we talk about, STEM, that's basics for Black people. That is where we come from. And where do you think they're getting this knowledge from? They're stealing it. You know what I mean? It's the perfect time for us to develop who we are truly as a people and dominate the earth.
let me tell you, I better do this because I will forget if I don't say it right now. Your publications, books, and or other ways to explore your philosophy and what you have that we could avail ourselves of.
Like I said, Mr. Boyd, I am available to
I mean,
anybody who.
in terms of printed work.
So I have my book, but as you can
Yes.
see, I have artwork behind me that express the things that I like to do. And so right now I am really cloning into being an artist, a poet, um, and a person who just kind of speaks in front of people
Do you?
and gives them the knowledge. So
My
if you
God.
interested in my artwork behind me, and I will be posting it throughout the day because it is my birthday, I'm going to celebrate me.
Praise
And so,
God.
like I said, go visit all my social
Look
media
at
handles.
this.
I will be posting my artwork throughout the day. I have already started posting some poems just because it's all about me
Ooh.
today, and I might just overload all of the social media platforms. But you know, I thought about publishing a book, and when I went and looked into it, the book that I have, I don't think it was going to yield me what I wanted. So, what I decided to do was just record those, and then if you would like for me to come and speak somewhere, then I would share a variety of poems and educate people on a variety of different things. I speak to conflict resolution in our community,
Yes.
especially when it comes to the violence. And I do believe, again, education is just really something that is lacking in our community. And I think a lot of what we go through stems from just a lack of education. So I can speak to conflict resolution. I will speak to you about um, sexual assault and what it means to empower yourself through the fight for justice, and even just anyone who's looking to fight through justice. White supremacy and anti-blackness, and what that looks from a religious perspective, and how our community, and this is a very tough conversation, how our community takes on white nationalism within our religious structures. And we call them cults once they're exposed. But it is really white nationalist behavior that a lot of religions that have been adopted and come from origins of other religions have adopted this ideology behind um, what it is that controls people, right? And
Well,
so I think that's a conversation that most people don't want to have. but it's needed and it's very freeing and liberating once you understand spirituality versus being in a religious cult.
My God. You make me think of so very many things, but first, before I tell you what I'm thinking about, um, the artwork that appears behind you on camera was rendered
Hmm.
by whom?
It was rendered by me,
My
and
God.
it is layered. It took quite a few hours to do, but I'm going to get on here and show them off. But this is a painting of two women. I call it the Gold Rush. These women are like inside of trees, just because I believe Black women are the
This is
power of the earth and knowledge of everything.
absolutely fascinating.
And so, yeah, it's layered. It has live leaves on the top of it. It has some gold and has some jewelry in it and some rhinestones. It's kind of like a little bit three-dimensional, but it's very mixed media
This
type
is
of artwork.
Louis George Walker. Are you saying that? Did you? My God, this is so. And by the way, my wife has not called in, nor is she on camera. But if she were, she would hold up an African doll that was presented to her husband when Wheeler Parker Jr. was here in Kansas City. And I cannot thank you enough. But this is remarkable. So
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it,
you
and
should be. This
yeah.
is absolutely magnificent, and because of that, let me ask.
And there's so many more behind me.
Yes,
You want to see them right quick?
that would be wonderful. And as a matter
Okay.
of fact, Sister DeQuay and Brother Louis George
Let me see.
Walker, she is
Let
going
me,
to show us some of her artwork. Look at this, DeQuay. This
I
is
don't know if you can.
magnificent. Look at this. This
Is any of it for sale? And if so, where can we go to purchase?
It's all for sale. You can just message me, and it's one of those things I've been taught by a few people not to necessarily list the price. So if you email me, message me, we will negotiate and figure out how we ship them to you and all of that good stuff. But yeah, like I said, they'll be on Facebook, social media. You can find me if you just Google me. I am Khadijah. You'll see tons of things that will fall up under I am Khadijah. And so yeah, you'll just be able to have a good time. I'm doing a little bit of vlogging, writing articles about different social justice movements that I have been involved
yes.
in. Yeah. Yeah, we are working on a case in Kansas City, Kansas, in particular, with a young man that was killed in the detention center.
Ooh.
They consider him the second George Floyd killing. Of course, he has the representation of Ben Crump and Harry Daniels. I think Harry Daniels represented a young man over here in Missouri, and forgive me, it fails me which one he is. I think it's Tyree. If Jaquay, help me out. Is there a young man that was murdered by the police? His name begins with a T.
And
Well, the name that
Was it
comes to mind
Tyree
is Ty.
Pryor?
Well, the name that comes to my mind is Tyree Nichols, but that wasn't here in Kansas City.
Okay. Well, there's a young man there in Kansas City that this team already represents. But anyway, how the officer or the deputy, he's a sheriff deputy, his name is Fatherly, has not been arrested. He had a court hearing on the 18th. And of course, he was able to get a continuance. By the way, that court hearing was over Zoom, and he was inside of his lawyer's office. Very unfortunate situation, but that's the nature of what's going on. So I'll be posting an article about the nature of a summons, which is what Mark Dupree issued instead of an arrest warrant, and how that is no different from any other thing that we've been used to when it comes to law enforcement not being arrested after a deadly shooting or use of force on a citizen or a detainee, for that matter of fact. So,
Couple of questions for you. One, right quick, is uh, podcast visibility. You mentioned the three, but beyond that, if there is beyond that, and then lectures, even classes for college students involved in social justice. Are you available for that kind of interaction?
I'm very much available. I honestly see my lifelong work as I have, and I say this humbly, as I've done so many things over my lifetime, as
Yes,
time to start educating people about
yes,
what I've done and how they can maneuver in the community and make a difference. A lot of people don't know what I've done in the community because I walk pretty quietly and humbly about it.
yes,
But I've
ma'am.
accomplished quite a few things that I think are worthy that people know how they can make a difference. Not just get out there and rally when something sensationalizes them, but really go into action that really changes the course of where something is going and puts it on the right track for longevity, not just for the moment in the media or after a lawsuit has been settled, something that makes a difference so it doesn't happen to the next person or the next person can benefit off of something good instead of something foul happening.
When I think about your involvement in Wyandotte County and your influence expanding the United States of America, in the evolution of your involvement, does it appear to be becoming easier? And if not, how can we make it easier?
Uh, so a few things can be true at the same time. So in some ways it is easier
Okay.
because I have wisdom and I'm grateful to have so many mentors in
Praise
my life,
God.
so many
Yes.
people that I can call to lean on. I have built a network of people across the country that I can just pick up the phone and call.
There you
So
go.
that in an aspect makes it a lot easier. But I can't say that it has gotten easier when you have a non-for-profit that really was getting its legs off of, up under it and really taking off. And then we had an administration that came in and pretty much shut down a lot of the partnerships, a lot of
My
the funding
God.
that we were looking for.
Yes.
And so in that aspect, it is still hard. If the work still has to be done, it may look like there's a lot going on and you're striding, but ultimately a lot of it comes from steam. And so um, I often boldly say, if you want this work to continue and you want to see people fair in justice, then make a donation. And you can do that at justiceforwyandotte.org. That helps us keep to going. It doesn't necessarily put money in our pockets, but it helps us make sure that individuals have um, therapy, that if they can't show up because they're cold, that their light bill is paid. If they have to show up for court and they're missing a day of work, they can't find some food for their kids, that is taken care of. In some instances, if they're getting therapy, we have to find childcare for them. So it's that aspect. And then we advocate across the country. We're not just in Wyandotte County seeking the help. We refer out, and especially when it comes to legal representation. I have to put a disclaimer out there. I'm not an investigator, nor am I an attorney, but I know the law, and I know what you should be looking for when it comes to a human and a civil rights attorney. And so we look outside of where we are as a community, one, to avoid conflict of interest, two, to avoid people from being fearful and taking a case because they're fearful.
Wow.
And three, it's just better to have someone from the outside looking in that can see what we can't see. We work together from outside in as a team. And so,
Let,
yeah.
let me ask of you, and by the way, of course, DeQuay, if there is something that you want to mention or ask, please come right in. I think that we need to go back to what you said about fundraising. You went by that pretty quick, and I don't want us to miss that. Will you repeat
Okay.
that, please?
So if you want to make a donation, you can visit justiceforwine.org.
Mm.
Um, and there is a donate button right at the top of the page. If you want to know more about what we do before making a donation, we have a newsletter there. We have the Charles Adair story up right now. There's a couple of different programs that we have that we keep going, which one is John's Belts, which is to bring dignity back to homeless people or people who just don't have one. One of our people that are victims that we advocate for, he was shot pulling up his pants. And so
My
the
God.
parents, I mean, the family members decided that the way that they could do something to help the people in Wyandotte County was to start a belt fund. And
Ooh.
so we raised funds for belts, and then the siblings' employers actually match those funds. And so we still have that going on. And then those belts come from Michael's Fine Linen. We do believe in giving you something that is going to be durable and something that really speaks to having dignity.
I just find that remarkable that you are able to do it on a consistent basis. And this is just my own peculiar curiosity. Um, when you are engaged in your artwork, which is far superior to excellent, does that help from a psychosociological standpoint as you are concentrating on your work?
It helps tremendously. So, one thing I did mention is in the past, I've been a hairstylist.
Wow.
Yes. So, yeah, I used to own a beauty salon. And so, most of my life, I was a hairstylist. And then, let's say injustice hit my doorsteps, kind of sent me in a spiral with a loved one that I was working with, and kind of lost the threading with hair. And from that event, that's what sent me into the activism for the women in Wyandotte County. Um, let's say the injustice was so bad in Wyandotte County that it required someone to take it on full time. And so I had to make a decision of what I was going to do. And I stopped doing hair and became a full-time organizer and advocate for the women of Wyandotte County. In that, many people called me sharing their stories. And so there's a ton of stories that have not come forward yet because people are still too afraid. But
Yes.
their stories were devastating. They were cruel. They were inhumane. And so there were times where I didn't know where to put what I was hearing and those emotions centered around it. I'm a person who do believe I suffer from some sort of autism because I'm a person that is more calculated than I am with the empathy part of it. But you can't help but have empathy when you hear these stories. And what I mean calculate is that I'm listening for the legal sound part of your story. What you didn't say, how you're saying it, what was a lie, what may have been transpiring on the other side. I'm constantly in an analytical mode, but when you're hearing these stories and they're so damning, it does nothing but take you back. And in some instances, there's nothing I can do to help a person because a lot of it is just circumstantial. You know what I mean? And so I'm hearing it and I want to help them, but I can't. And so I had to find a way to let that out. I used to take walks in the park and just scream, you know what I mean? Because the anxiety and the
My
feelings of
God.
pressure of
Yes.
burdensome was so heavy. So I would just scream. But when I picked up the paintbrush, which is something I used to do when I was little, was paint. I used to make paper dolls and all kind of stuff. And so I just kind of channeled myself back into the artist that I was and just started pouring out on the canvas.
Let me say something that will obviously not be surprising, and I'll try to make it brief. In an interview that you and I did with the Black Archives, you mentioned Synergy Services. And
Hmm.
I was working with the Youth Resiliency Center for Synergy, and our producer and co host uh, was a part of Synergy at a young age. And in as much as the three of us have that experience, that knowledge, I wanted to impose upon that was the phone and some technology.
I apologize for that. We have a guest on the phone.
Uh-oh, we have a guest on the phone, but we have a some beeping. That,
Caller, say hello.
Hello, this is Wanda Boyd. I just wanted to say hello and happy birthday to Khadijah.
Oh, thank you, Miss Wanda. I greatly appreciate that. I I'm humbled. Thank you.
this is so wonderful.
I can't hardly hear you guys, but what I'm going to say, and I'm going to hang up, I love the fact that she's talking about trying to help people, and sometimes that's hard when you don't have anything that you can do to help. But my theory is I love autobiographies and testimonies, because if you can put somebody else, a group of people in front of someone giving their testimony, that helps the other person when there's nothing that you can do. But in a group that's telling their testimonies, I do believe by God's grace he lets that testimony fall on that person and to be able to help that person.
Praise
It does. It
God.
does.
And like I say, I'm going to get off so I can hear you on TV because I can't hear you over the phone.
Well, before you get off, let me say I love you. Can you hear me?
Just a little bit.
Well, I'll shout it out. I love you.
Love you too.
and
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
thank you
That
so
is.
much. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
just to tell people how
You keep
artistic this
surprising me.
girl
That
is,
was
I've got an
nice.
African doll that has a red dress on, and she's got a cape behind her like a what do you call that?
The train.
Kente cloth like, but it also incorporates the chief. So I
Yes, it
love it,
does.
and thank you so much for that. I never had a chance to talk to you, so I'm gonna get off, and I love you guys.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Love you too.
We love you too.
This
Oh my
is.
God. Thank you.
I am so glad for that call, and wow, to be taken DeQuay to the end of the hour. There's so much more that we could hear from our very special guest. So, DeQuay, taking us to the end, you have the last word on this end, and she'll have the last word for the show. Okay.
Khadija, he's giving you an opportunity to give any last words,
Oh,
final
I was
thoughts.
giving
Oh,
it to
I
you
thought he wanted
first.
you to do.
Well, I have quite a bit to say, but I'm going to wait until we stop airing.
thank and thank you, Khadija Hardaway. Last statement.
My last statement again would be for you to just go out and support Justice for Wyandotte, justiceforwyandotte.org. If you want me to speak, just contact me at khadijah31@gmail.com. Go check out the Girlfriends Unraveled. I mean, not Unraveled. That was the last season. This is Girlfriends Untouchable. Nikki is the host. The four first episodes are out. And then I'll be hosting the bonus episodes, which will be talking about ways people can get involved and how you can help yourself
Amen.
in the movement. So I thank you, Mr. Boyd. Thank you so much.
Thank you, DeQuay Wilson.
I'm going to take this opportunity to thank our guests, our listeners, our viewers, and our caller for joining us on your Stoots for Boots Wave Your Grades program. We come to you live every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now, our host, Carl Boyd will close with Carl's commentary on academic patriotism and his daily message for students in honor of our veterans from his book, Morning Messages.
To students across the USA, your Students for Boots message for this day, November 22nd. A president was assassinated. Our nation came back strong. Our students must be educated or we won't be strong for long. Also, someone was born on November 22nd. Thank you very much. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on my way home.